Lots of things have happened since I've been offline. I couldn't get any videos uploaded to my site. We have a phenomena that has been encouraged by liberal wings, and that is the whole idea of gender preference. Somehow or other, gender is something that should be chosen, not imparted. In other words, if you're a girl, you should be able to become a boy. And if you're a boy, you should be able to become a girl. Now, most of us understand this is silly and incredibly vulgar and counterproductive and counterintuitive. But this is part of the whole liberal movement, which wants to uproot traditional values of right and wrong and to impart another set of right and wrong, that anybody who interferes with one's desires, one's sexual desires, somehow or other is evil. And therefore, we have to control you. We have to control what you're thinking. In fact, we have to control what you're driving and control what you're using. This is all part of Big Brotherhood. But it started with the so-called sexual liberation, the liberation of the 60s and 70s, where no longer were you embarrassed of having a child out of wedlock. This led to all different kinds of issues. It led to the abortion issue, because if you had a lot of sex out of wedlock and you didn't want to have the responsibility of raising a child, so you should be able to get rid of it. This also led to suicide, doctor-induced suicide, with the parva or kosher name of death by choice. That when life is too unbearable to live, we should be able to end it. That should be part of my rights. The problem with abortion is that it kills a baby. And the problem with doctor-assisted suicide is that you can't have a second chance. Once it's done, you're dead. And there are ways of dealing with life that don't have to have the person die. Now, we understand that there's a lot of pain and suffering and a lack of dignity, but you know what? I took care of my mom for more than a year in my home, and I would have taken care of her today if she would be alive. And the family showed her love, and her life was complete, despite the fact that she couldn't walk and she had no dignity. Dignity, what is interpreted as quality of life. Her quality of life was that people came to see her and hugged her and wanted to hear from her. And she saw all of her 50-plus great-grandchildren and held them and hugged them. Is that not quality of life? So doctor-assisted suicide is a direct result of abortion. The next step is medicide, when people will decide whether a person's life is worth living. And this exists in certain European countries. Well, no, they have your signature. Sure, the person is out of their mind, drugged up, and they sign something. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're signing, and they're killed. It's called doctor killing, mercy killing. So you went from the sexual revolution to abortion on demand to medicide. Another aspect of this medicide is Obamacare. According to the socialized medicine of Obamacare, If you're past a certain age, you can't have a pacemaker put in. There's certain types of treatment which are not recommended. All of these things stem from one place, and that is the desire to control people's lives and to redirect what is good and what is evil. Instead of placing a premium on life, they pay a premium on sexual behavior and freedom, so-called freedom. The next step will be that any prohibition against prostitution will be thrown out the window. Why should you restrict people earning a living by sex? Problem with that, of course, is venereal disease and sex slavery, which abounds today. Oh no, we're going to control it. You're going to control it. Look what's happening without your control. All of these things come from a desire from certain people to deny God and God's rules. The same thing is true of those who want to get rid of circumcision, claiming that it goes against the rights of the child, which is non-existent. There is no such thing as an implied right of the child. We educate the child the way we want the child to be educated. The child has got no choice but to go where the parents want him to go. Oh no, we're going to go ahead and now we're going to control where the kid goes. That's exactly the point. You want to get rid of parental control, and you want to impose your will and your standards of deviation, of vulgarity, of filth that leads to disease and destruction of the human dignity. The destruction of the family is the single most devastating factor in the destruction of the black family, and consequently holding blacks in perennial poverty. When you get rid of a family structure, you're dooming those children to forever be living in poverty. And then you have them, and then you make demands such as not just reparations, but demand of inequality of income inequality. And you want to force that there has to be equal results, which is impossible. All of this stems from the same idea and ideology. It's not just socialism. It's social engineering. It's the desire of certain people to want to change life, the meaning of life and the purpose of life, and define what is good and what is evil. A boy is created a boy to be a boy, to follow what God wants that boy to be. And a girl is created a girl to become a mother and a housewife, and to do what a woman is supposed to do. And together they create a family. And that unit is the basis, that's the triangle. Mother, father, child is the triangle upon which all of society rests. There's nothing stronger than that unit. There's nothing better than that unit. And all of the artificial attempts to redefine value of life leads to death and destruction, and ultimately economic collapse and the destruction of a great society. And this is what Trump means, make America great again. It's not a political statement. We created, or the United States created, the greatest country that God has ever made. And the liberals are destroying that country. I don't agree with all the conservatives, but I definitely disagree with the things that I've mentioned to you in this video.